Hey y'all, here for Real Housewives of Atlanta season 8, episode 4. So it starts off with Kenya going to Sheree's house uninvited. It looks like she's walking from her Moore Manor to Sheree's house. So Sheree is there and she's sweeping up like the front, looks like the foyer area. Well, no, the foyer will be inside, like the front porch part. And you know, Kenya wanting to go inside the house and whatnot, asking all kinds of questions. Let me just say this. Sheree's house is bomb. I mean, yeah, it's taking her forever to fix it up and finally have it renovated to where it's livable. But her house is bomb. Like the high ceilings and like the structure and everything from the front. I was like, okay, Sheree. So, you know, Kenya is like, well, she was asking her all kinds of questions, like, how's your electrical? Do you have any floors? So Sheree's like, she doesn't have floors yet, but her electrical's on. And then she was asking Kenya about her house. And Kenya was like, well, I don't have anything yet. You know, I'm still starting fresh. So Sheree is like, so if you don't have nothing going on in your house, why you all in mine? Get something in your house first. You live in a ditch. And I'm like, yo, they keep shading each other. But they made a bet that whoever's in their house by Christmas this year will win the bet. So if Kenya wins, Sheree loses, and you know, so on and so forth. They didn't really bet. I don't know what they bet. Probably money. I don't know. They didn't specify. So Kenya brings up that she's having a little boat party, and she invites Sheree. She's saying that she's having it because like a little bachelorette party for Cynthia part 2, since Cynthia is having problems with Peter or whatever. So Sheree agrees to go, and then they go back to Moore Manor, like they run off, and then okay, next scene. So Porsha and Phaedra are in this sex store. And Porsha is like, you know, Duke is away at camp, so I want to FaceTime him wearing something sexy, 'cause I gotta spice it up, blah blah blah. So, you know, Phaedra is like, you know, they like admiring the outfits or whatever, and Porsha comes out in this sparkly bra and like cheerleader skirt. And you know, that's the outfit that she picked for Duke. And then Porsha was saying how Phaedra looks refreshed. She doesn't know if Phaedra has a new boo because Apollo's been in jail for a year now. So, Portia's like, well, she's probably getting to know herself, if you know what I mean. I'm like, yeah, every woman should get to know herself at some point. So, you know, they're just enjoying it, having, you know, girl time, buying, you know, toys and stuff. So Candy is on the phone with Don Juan, and she tells him that she's officially 4 months pregnant, and, she's working from home now. Don Juan is like, yeah, you do need to take it easy. So Cynthia comes over, and her and Candy start discussing her taking it slow during her pregnancy, because when you are over the age of 35, it is a higher risk for like pregnancy, birth, like pregnancy, like a whole bunch of risks for your pregnancy, and like birth defects, all kinds of things can happen. So you do have to kind of like, your stress level has to be low, you have to be good, you know. They'll always tell you to like try not to be stressed, try not to be around anybody that stresses you out, you know, stuff like that. So Candy is like, well, I feel like I'm taking it, you know, I'm not doing a lot. And Cynthia is like, girl, I follow you on Instagram, you always somewhere. So I guess Candy's idea of taking it slow is not going into the candy factory or whatever. But she got all these things she doing. Candy coated nights, bedroom candy, and now her and Todd talking about opening up a restaurant. And Cynthia is like, well, I'm not going to knock your idea. I just wouldn't recommend it because the restaurant business is hard, and man, grease on my hand. That's from my hair. I wouldn't recommend it. The restaurant business is hard. It's a headache. But if that's what y'all want to do, then do it. You know, I believe in you. So Candy is like, well, now's not the best time, but I do want to do it because that's Todd's dream. My dream was to do a play last year, and I did it, and he supported me, so I want to do the same for him. So I'm like, yeah, Candy, you a boss chick. Do whatever you set your mind to, because it clearly you set your mind to anything and it blows up, and people really sit up here and talk like Candy is not a boss. That girl is winning. She is a boss. Like all of these ideas she come up with, they be starting from this small, but then they blow up. Look at her bedroom candy line. Candy Coated Nights, Candy Factory. She had a show for Candy Factory, signing, you know, brand new artists and whatnot, putting video, like, come on, like, Candy, I like Candy. And Candy is so down to earth and frugal. That's what I love about her too, because she don't go around. I know Candy got bank, but she don't go around bragging about it. And that's how people need to be. When you have money, you don't have to go around bragging about it, because as quick as you get it, you can lose it. So Phaedra and Kim meet up, and Phaedra has the kids. She has Aiden and Dylan in the pool with their lifeguard. Kim Fields comes over with her sons Sebastian and Quincy. So since the lifeguard teaches kids how to swim, they have a little bit of mommy time to talk, chat, whatever. So now this conversation really, really hit close to home for me, because it's something that I deal with. Oh, I'm sorry. Lord. So Kim was like, you know, she likes the group of girls. She just wasn't expecting so much boobage in the group. And I'm like, well, honey, you in Atlanta. Boobage is everywhere. Boobage and booty is everywhere in Atlanta, okay? So, Phaedra is like, well, what do you do? Do you have any friends? Do you have any girlfriends? And she's like, no. She's like, who do you hang out with on a daily? She says Sebastian and Quincy and sometimes Chris. So Phaedra's like, no, girl, you need girlfriends to hang out with. You know, you don't want to lose yourself being married with kids. You want to, you know, keep yourself looking good and feeling good. And she's like, well, as long as I don't smell or look homeless, I'm fine. So Phaedra's like, what? Like, you gotta get out. Like, you know, and Kim was like, well, how did you do it? And Phaedra was like, well, I never lost myself in my marriage and being a mom. Yeah, I wear many hats, but I still go out and I pamper myself. I still have, you know, girls' time with my girls. That's how I do it. So Phaedra was like, well, if you had that time to do that, like, what makes you excited? What makes you go, oh, I can't wait to do X, Y, Z? So Kim Phil started breaking down, and she was like, carpool with the kids. And Phaedra was like, no, that's not. And she was like, you know what? When you just said everything that you said, it just dawned on me that I've lost myself. And I'm like, you know what? I can totally relate to Kim Phil's. And I mean, I get it. As a mom, your job is to sacrifice so that your kids can have. So, okay, you may slack up on getting your hair done. You may slack up on getting a pedicure, manicure here and there. But it's like when you become a mom, it's not about you anymore. It's about your kids. So I can definitely relate, because before I had kids, my hair stayed done. Like, I never used to, I used to be ashamed to go out wearing my hair something like this. But you know what? I'm used to it, because I'm embracing my natural hair. So that's why you'll always see me with this. Or if my hair's not done, I'll wrap it up. But usually I'll have twists. I'll have it like this. I'll have it in a cute twist out fro, like something like that. Because I'm trying to like find ways to keep my natural hair nice, but, you know, not really have to break the bank to do so. Because, you know, sometimes you become a mom, your money goes to Pampers, your money goes to formula, your money goes to, you know, little kitty snacks and stuff like that. Your money goes to your kids. So sometimes you may not always have the time or the financial means to pamper yourself every week or every 2 weeks like you used to do before you had kids. So I completely understand how Kim feels. Not Kim feels, but how she feels, because I'm going through the same thing. And I'm just working on going back to work so that I can get back some of my individuality. And then on top of that, I'm starting to do things that I love again, like vlogging. I was never this consistent with vlogging, and now it comes to me pretty easy. Like, I do it without thinking, and I have fun with it now. Before, when I was doing it, I wasn't having fun with it. I was always so in my head. I was, you know, I had no privacy. Now I have a lot more privacy. You know, if my kids want to join in, I let them join in with me. Before, I didn't want anybody in the videos with me. I just wanted it to be me. But now you guys get to see a little bit of me. You see my daughter. She pops up on here sometimes. My son occasionally. Usually when I do my vlogging, my son is asleep. So, you know, sometimes he'll pop up here if he, you know, mommy, I eat this. Like, he tells me about his day. So I don't mind him joining. I even spoke to my fiance about it yesterday, and he said he'll probably join in with me on a vlog or something. You know, he periscoped with me before, but a vlog. He's never really vlogged with me, so he was talking about doing that one day. So it's just little things you need to do to get back your happiness, because being a mom will consume you and steal your identity, and you will not know who you are when your kids grow up and they have a life of their own, and you're sitting here like, well, what do I do now? And that's what I'm going through. So I'm trying to get back some of Tisha. I'm trying to get Tisha the individual to meet Tisha the mom, and for them to become awesome best friends. So I'm working on that too. So Kim Fields, I feel you. You spoke to my heart tonight, and I get it. I completely get it. I get it. You have to be in the situation to get it. So I get it. I know that was a little long, but I just had to express that. So Porsha is waiting around. She got her little cute outfit on, her little sexy robe. She's waiting around to FaceTime her boyfriend. And she told him, hey, can we FaceTime? And he said, okay. She was waiting there for an hour. Like, time just kept passing. So finally, she called Phaedra. And Porsha just feels like she's putting in all this effort to do all of this for Duke. And he's not doing anything. Like, he's not putting in the same effort she is. So Phaedra is like, well, you're still young. If you feel like you're wasting your time and you're settling, you don't have to do all of this for him. Just have fun with it. But if you're looking for a marriage and you're looking for something long term and you feel like he isn't, move on. It's okay. So Porsha is like, you know what? And I think that's what I'm going to do. Like, I like him. He's a cool dude, but I see myself wanting to be married with kids. And that's what I wanted for my first marriage, but it didn't work out that way. So she was like, seeing her sister pregnant and whatnot, it's really dawning on her that she wants something like that down the line. She's not sure if Duke wants the same thing because he's still hella young. So she's like, yeah, I may move on. Let me go take a hot bath, a cold bath or whatever. And I'm like, Porsha is a mess. So now we get to the Lake Lanier trip, and Kenya meets up with Tammy, who's Cynthia's friend, and they're talking about, Tammy doesn't really know about shade. She doesn't really know what shade is. So they're teaching her, oh, shade is like when you say something that's kind of like an underhanded compliment or something like that, or like you talk like it has like a little bit of an insult behind it, but it's shade. You'll know when shade is being thrown. So while they're in the car talking, it goes to Candy, and Candy is knocked out in this little mini bus. She is knocked out in the back. But I'm like, I feel you, because when you pregnant, it sucks all the energy out of you. You bound to fall asleep anywhere. Like, when you pregnant, you are straight up narcoleptic. It doesn't fail. Like, you fall asleep anywhere. So she woke up, and Kim got in the party bus with her, and they sat and they talked, and Kim was like, well, I didn't really get to speak to you at Kenya's event, but I wanted to let you know that I am a big fan of yours, and I do want to get to know you. So it went from them talking about that to talking about Candy's business ventures and what she does, and Kim is like, well, I would like to try something new in my marriage. Like, don't get me wrong, when my husband takes me there, he takes me there, but I'm just a little embarrassed to try something new. And Candy was like, well, I always tell people you have to start small. People who are like much shyer about their sex lives. So she's telling her about the vibrating panties and like the little bullets and all that. And Kim was like, this is a better conversation than the G-rated conversations that I have in carpool. So it goes back to Tammy, and the girls are asking her about Sheree, and she's like, yeah, I know Sheree because me and her ex-husband are best friends. So she was like, they were like, oh, really? She was like, yeah. She was like, well, so is everything true about Sheree and her divorce and whatnot, her marriage to him? And Tammy was basically like, well, just from what I can tell you, Sheree, I don't think Sheree would have been with him if he wasn't a football player. And Kenya was like, so it's basically gold digging. She was like, no, it's not really. She's like, I wouldn't really say it's gold digging, but I would just say that she wouldn't have been with him if he wasn't a football player. Like, it was that's just that vibe I got from her. And I'm like, looking at Bob, we can all tell that Sheree wouldn't have been with him if he wasn't a football player, because that is a funny looking dude. He is hideous. I'm sorry. Bob Whitfield is not cute. He is not a looker. Like, he has a lazy eye. He's like, when I saw him on that season where Sheree served him papers for child support, he looked like a big doofy ass gorilla running through the hallway, sticking his tongue out at Sheree, because he won the case. I'm like, dude. But yeah, so let me see, because I wrote down notes. But yeah, I'm like, we all know that Sheree wouldn't have been with that guy if he wasn't a football player. Like, duh. So they all make it to the boat or whatever. So Kim and Candy are on the boat. No, Kenya. There's so many K's this season. Kenya, Tammy, and Cynthia are on the boat, and then Candy, Porsha, Kim, and Shamia make it on the boat, and Kenya is like, why is Shamia here? I didn't invite her or whatever. So she goes to hug everybody. And she was like, she said as she was walking to Candy, oh, I didn't invite Shamia. I don't know why she's here. So Porsha was like, well, no, Candy was like, well, did you invite anybody else or are we the only ones? So she was like, I invited Sheree and, I invited Phaedra, but I didn't invite Shamia, so I'm kind of surprised to see her here. So Porsha said, well, I just brought her because, Phaedra said that she won't be able to come because her baby's sick. So, Shamia can just take her place. And she's like, okay, well, when you have an event or whatever and you're invited, you usually don't invite somebody that you don't know. And I'm like, well, if you never specify that it's only, if you never specify that it's invite only, then why wouldn't it just be the more the merrier? Like, Kenya is just so immature and she's shady, but she always want to say somebody's shading her. So, they're basically discussing Cynthia, and Kenya is saying that she's having this little boat trip for Cynthia to, just to raise her spirits because she knows that Cynthia's going through issues with Peter. So Porsha is like, well, I'm not an advocate for divorce. I'm going to be here for Cynthia because if somebody was there for me during my divorce, then I probably wouldn't be divorced by now. And I'm like, well, Porsha, I think you'd be divorced just because how your husband was. So Porsha is just trying to she's trying to lighten up the situation, trying to make Cynthia smile and laugh, and then they're having drinks or whatever. So they arrive to Lake Lanier. And Kenya is still mad about Shamia being there, talking about, oh, at my party, somebody was making digs towards me, being shady, and I felt like Shamia was being shady for asking about the products and whatnot. So, no, first, Kenya tried to shade Kim, talking about, oh, Kim is 50, and Kim was like, I am not no damn 50 years old. I'm 46. And she's like, I'm only 5 months, not 5 years older than you, boo. And I'm like, for real. I'm like, Kenya, you right behind Kim. You ain't that much younger than Kim, so you need to stop. And then you shouldn't be shouting at nobody's age like that anyway. So, because Tammy said that she was 45. And then Porsha said to Tammy that she looked like Miley Cyrus. And I kind of agree. Tammy looks like a black Miley Cyrus. With the blonde hair and everything. She looks like a black Miley Cyrus. So, Tammy says to, when they first meet, Tammy says to Candy, oh, Candy, I know you don't remember me, from, years ago. But I met you when you was back in Escape and blah, blah, blah. So, Candy is like, well, I'm not going to remember nothing that, that happened 20 years ago. And I'm like, for real. First of all, Candy got pregnancy brain right now. So I'm pretty sure she don't even remember what she did that morning. How you going to want her to remember something that happened 20 plus years ago? I'm like, Tammy, sit down. And Tammy was acting too much like a fan because she was going up to, Candy, not just discussing casual talk, but she's talking about her son being a rapper, talking about I forgot what she said, his Freako and Mellow or something like that, but she said the song go, hey, drop, turn up, something like that, and I'm like, no, just no. So, Tammy was telling Candy that Bob manages her son for whatever reason, but whatever. And then she said something about, they was asking her about her husband. She said something, she was like, my son is very American. He's Nazi white. And I'm like, skirt, you sure you want to say that to black people? Like, that's mad uncomfortable. Like, Tammy was just off. So, the girls are taking shots, and then they're jumping in the lake in their swimsuits, and, Porsha's trying to make Cynthia feel better, but, Kenya was, like, you know, shading Shamia and feeling like Shamia was being disrespectful, so she's going to the captain and telling the captain, oh, there's a passenger I have on my boat that I no longer want on my boat. And I'm like, yo, Kenya is always trying to throw somebody out of her events. Like, stop. You are mad childish. Like, you can't just ignore that girl. Like, she's already there. Y'all in the middle of the friggin' lake. What you gonna do, toss her overboard? Like, Kenya is so childish. Just like when she don't like when somebody says something to her, it's a problem. But let her, she can say what she want, when she wants to whoever. And it's like, come on now. So, yeah, she confronts Shamia and whatnot. So, Cynthia was like, well, I'm gonna go talk to Kenya. And, you know, Porsha was like, well, go ahead, you know, that's your best friend. And Cynthia was like, yeah, well, we're not gonna throw around the best friend title because there's a lot of, you know, unlikable best friends on this boat. So, Porsha was like, yeah, but she already claimed that for you. So then Cynthia was like, yeah, but everybody, she said, some of these people that's best friends on this boat is like, you know, unlikely or whatever. And, you know, Porsha was like, oh yeah, bitch, like that. Like, she wasn't saying it to be rude, but, you know, she was just saying it as a term of endearment. Cynthia snapped, talking about some, oh, don't be disrespectful, you ain't stupid, you this, you that. So when Cynthia walked away, Porsha was like, well, I wasn't being rude. I wasn't saying it to be disrespectful. You know, we call each other bitch all the time. And Cynthia's like, well, you won't disrespect me, da 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 da. And I'm like, where's all this anger coming from? Like, this is the most I've ever heard or seen Cynthia curse. And I'm like, you know what? All this pent up frustration she need to lash out on Nene. She need to lash out on Peter. She need to lash out on them people who she should have barked on seasons ago. Instead of lashing out on somebody who's not being disrespectful to you, because y'all call each other bitch all the time. So Porsha is still not understanding, like, why are you so mad? Like, you're being sensitive, whatever. So when she went to go talk to Cynthia about it, Cynthia was getting loud again, insulting Porsha. And, you know, Porsha was like, well, you know what? You're fake. You're fake. And, you know, and then Cynthia's gonna talk about something, oh, your faux ass chin is fake. You know, you act stupid, but you really ain't stupid. So Porsha's still trying to explain herself. Cynthia still feels disrespected. And then I guess Porsha got up to hit her or something. I don't know. And then I think Cynthia kicked her, as I remember reading an article about it over the summer. That, you know, that's what happened on this boat trip. So, I mean, it just said it stopped there. And it's to be continued. And next week, like, it's going to be crazy. Because now Phaedra is saying that Porsha has a cut and bruises on her. And, they're trying to meet up with each other, and Kenya's trying to speak on behalf of Cynthia, and Porsha's like, well, you're not compassionate towards me. She's like, yes, I am. And then they have some dinner where Cynthia and Porsha meet up and talk, and then they go and talk, and then that was the end of it. So, I mean, this episode was okay. Yeah, it was fine. Like I said about the Kim Fields thing, I completely agree with her. And I related to her. So, I mean, I'm glad that they showed that. But, like, comment, subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. And I see you guys next video. Later.